All right. Hey,
That looks promising.
hello, Lovey. I'm here with Amber Griffiths, I being Melissa Trumble, and we are ready to talk about hobbies and what lights you up. And that can be work, that can be, hobby wise. And when you get into stuff like hobbies and self care, it can feel like another. Like, are you kidding me? There's another thing to do on my list now to find a flipping hobby, and then I got to schedule that in too. What the well,
And be sure you schedule time to enjoy it. Like that absolutely has to be on the clock. That has to be in
exactly.
the, yes.
And that gets to calendar management, and forcing yourself to make time for yourself and prioritizing yourself. And
Right.
if we can back burn ourselves left and right, and then we wonder why we're so burnt out and crispy.
We are not like bacon. We do not get better with crispiness.
No, no, not at all. But I was, before we started, I was just telling Amber that I'm very excited because Meetup, fabulous app, found a RPG role playing game. Does anyone play Dungeons and Dragons or anything? This one is Star Wars something. Yeah, so I'm going to meet new people in person. We're going to play at a library, and I can't wait to meet my fellow nerdlings.
I think that's so fabulous. I mean, way to like lead with the, this is what lights me up, and you will find your people. I mean, that has always been the case,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
oh, if you get to dress up, I'm going to be so excited for you.
I know,
I'm
I
not a dress
know.
up person, but I am happy for you if you do.
I mean, if they're into it, I'll dress up. I'm a ranger though, so she's just like a I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But
Mhm.
um but back to the joy. Enough about
Yes.
myself and my nerdness. When like how do you discover what gives you joy, what feeds your soul? Right? I mean, I'm talking about using an app, Meetup, right? And I
Uh-huh.
live in a pretty heavily populated area, so that's lucky. There's tons of stuff and tons of groups to do, but depending on the season and depending on where you live, that might not be so available.
This is true. This is true. I think you can pretty well isolate yourself no matter where you are, though.
That's
Like you
fair.
can choose to remain isolated,
That's fair.
um, in as much as you can choose to not do that. I have found that even though everything is safe and like I'm not concerned about jury scormies anymore, I'm still hesitant to put on shoes and venture out. And
It changed a lot.
it changed a great deal. I changed. And it's really ridiculous because even as I go out, oh my goodness, Melissa, I completely forgot to tell you. I got to meet a friend of mine who I've known now for 3.5 years. We met during COVID. I got to see her in real life.
That's
She was
amazing.
flying into Utah for something, and we're like, oh my goodness, we're going to have dinner. And it was so wonderful and so like almost like meeting somebody new, and yet it was meeting an old friend.
Exactly.
And
I love
I
it.
came back home just absolutely lit up, like just on
Gorgeous.
fire. And my spouse was like, you need to do this more often. I'm like, oh, yeah, don't make me do this more often. Even though there was such joy in all of it, in the looking forward to it, in the
Yep.
having of it, there was still this little piece of me going, oh, but would I do this again? Is it worth putting on shoes? You know?
Seriously. Like that's the line of investment. Like that's too high a bar of entry. It doesn't have to be like that. And yet it became like that because of the epidemic. And so here we are with these like hesitating social skills and I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I volunteer teaching ESL for literacy, what literacy, LVA, Volunteers of America. And it
Oh,
just energizes me. I love it, love it, love it, love it. It's on Zoom. And then I have another class I'll be starting in person. But beforehand, I'll be like, maybe I'll call my co-tutor and just see if he can take the class. And my partner's just
yeah,
like, you love doing that.
right. Why are you
Why
talking
wouldn't
yourself
you?
out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
true.
It's almost like the idea of it, the part before is has created this to be this big monster thing. And I don't know if it's because we had to come back home and wipe everything down and hose ourselves down with, lye showers, or like I don't know if we're just traumatized by that or if really it's the anticipation of I want this to go well. It matters to me. I
Mm-hmm.
want like it matters so big to me that if I screw it up, I'm just gonna be devastated. And so this anticipation of the event is like, okay, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
That is so insightful. So, for one thing, we trained ourselves to be very wary and nervous about going out physically anywhere, like in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And additionally, we were training ourselves to see people as dangerous.
Right. Right. That's a
So
huge social, that taps into huge social issues.
huge, because isolation, you were saying, because you can be in a very crowded environment and still feel alone. It's,
Absolutely.
you can,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's not
there's
just
no
geography.
guarantee. Right.
Right.
But you can also work on your connections. Like I realized at the event I was at with Jennifer Rezio that I shut down friendships. Why? Why am
Wow.
I doing that? This is the dumbest thing ever.
Do they bring you joy? Do those relationships
Yes.
light you up? Okay, then now I don't know. Other than training, other than
Yeah. And so I'm just saying, like, be aware of the dysfunction and don't ever
right.
assume that the way you operate in the world is, 100% healthy, 100% great. It's, I grew up not thinking people were safe. So it is hard for me to reach out. And plus,
Right.
I can lose a thought like nobody's business. So from intending to call or reach out to someone to holding my phone and then standing there like, I needed my phone. Maybe I was going to look something up on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't
Was I
know.
Googling something? No, I was
Maybe.
the very opposite. So is it a matter of we get to just be aware of it, and are we choosing safety and habit? And it's
Right.
one of those, even if it's a pile, it's our pile. And we know the
Yes.
smell of it, we know every little corner.
Yep.
Versus I know this lights me up. I know this would excite me. I know I'd enjoy this. And then we sit there and fight with ourselves. I don't know.
Yeah. Why
But
not
now
give
you get to go to the
ourselves,
library and go play.
give ourselves permission to be curious about why we are the way we are
Right.
and to recognize that maybe our toolbox needs a few more tools.
Including locking up, though, that judgment tool. Because
Oh
I
my
think
gosh,
sometimes
yes.
it's, especially if it's, because then you go into that spiral of, okay, well, I'm a terrible friend. I haven't called you in months.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I'm so terrible. So how I'm going to fix that is I'm not going to call you again now either.
Right.
I'll just let
Well,
it,
and we're just delighted to hear from you. So you're making
right.
up a problem that doesn't even exist.
Oh yeah. I can have entire fights, entire arguments, entire scenarios in my head and convince myself that this is why I'm
Yeah.
sitting on my couch.
In my life, I've only had one friend that I was out of touch with for an extended period of time that I then reached out, and she was just like, "You walked away from our friendship. What is this about?" And I was just like, "Wait, what?" I was having a nervous breakdown because January 6th, like
Yeah.
there
Like,
were
I was having a
tanks at the
thing.
exits when I went to go see my godson in Maryland. Like it was really bad. Like, and so that's really the only time. It's only one time. I'm 55. Believe
You've had
me,
some of these.
I've practically ghosted many people, including my siblings, for the love. Like,
I'm right there with you. It's like I should be better. Well, I should not use that vocabulary. Let's start
right.
there.
Yeah,
And again, let go of that judgment of, yeah, stuff happens. Life is
exactly.
busy, and sometimes busy is dumb. So if they're going to judge you for that and hold it against you, then then now you know, and you can have closure
Yep,
and move on, and really spend any extra time that you are willing to put on shoes and leave the house with those who love you big. And
exactly. I love that. Love you
yay!
big. That's
Mm.
brilliant.
I love that. That's one of my favorites. I'm like, oh, I've got clients who are like, okay, I know you love me big. I'm like, I do. Let's talk about it.
Yes. And let's talk a second about like being accepting of our foibles and
Yeah.
understanding without being harsh on ourselves that we're not perfect. Po body's nerfic or whatever.
Right.
Remember those
You're right.
stickers?
It is. It's Pope Norfolk. It's from the Good Place. Have you ever seen that? The Good Place series?
Oh, that's from when I was a kid, girl. That's older than that show.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably. I'm like, it's not like it's an Eleanor original, but she, I think, has breathed new life into it.
I love it.
So
Yeah, that's a very good show.
anyway, but you're right. Nobody's perfect. So why do we expect ourselves to be?
What is that about? Well, I don't
How
expect anyone else to be perfect.
how there's a conversation that goes on in my household on the regular because I think there's this myth of perfection, and I think it's absolutely a myth. I think perfection is really the killer of all things good. I think
I
it's
like
the,
that.
um, I think perfect is not attractive. I don't think it's accessible. And I don't think anyone expects us to that. In fact, they would rather us not be. It's our imperfections, it's our flaws, it's our screw ups and our hiccups that make
Hmm.
people go, ah, yeah,
Right.
me too, girl. I
Yeah.
totally agree. So I think there's that part of it. And then I also think perfection, how boring would that be?
Oh my gosh.
How boring. I live my life knowing I can always learn something new. Like today, I
Absolutely.
will learn something new. And if I am perfect, I have stopped that search for getting better, for more information,
Yeah.
for more understanding.
Yeah.
Nope,
That's no,
not
thank
doing
you.
it.
Yeah. I
No.
mean, I know the phrase lifelong learner sounds, silly or maybe even pretentious, but if you consider yourself a lifelong learner, oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
world truly is your oyster. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
it's so much fun. There's so many different people and experiences and places that you can just honestly get on a computer and research the heck out of the libraries in Jordan or
Right.
like
Right.
ziggurats.
Oh, go to a coffee shop and strike up a conversation with a stranger. Now, if they're not your people, you will quickly find that out.
Yes,
But
that's
if they
fair.
are, you've now learned something completely different. Like you
How
have,
fun.
I mean, it doesn't always have to be book learning to be a
Yeah.
lifelong learner, right?
Yes.
Travel.
Yes.
Go try something and eat it differently. Order something completely that you're like, I would never order that off the menu. I want
Hmm.
to. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Right.
Like I want to try something so completely different. When are you a sushi? Do you eat sushi?
Mhm.
Are you a fan? Okay.
I do.
I have this rule for me. If I'm going to go get sushi, if I'm going to get two rolls, I'm going to get one that I know I will love,
Okay.
and I get one that I have no idea. I'm like, I don't bring it to
Okay.
me, so that I'm like, I'm not going to go hungry. I mean, this girl, I
Oh,
know how to find food clearly,
come on.
but I want to try something new, even while enjoying the safety and the comfiness
Right.
of. I love my sunshine rolls. I know I like the salmon. I know I love the lemon, and I'm going to try some weird thing just because I've never tried it.
Right. So,
So I
I
learn that way.
I do that as well, and I've had regrets. Um, there was something with like a quail egg in it,
You're not a
and
quail egg fan?
that was a whiskey tango foxtrot. Like what? There's like a texture situation. Like that is just like I don't also don't drink motor oil.
Right, right. Have you tried it?
No.
No, it could kill you. Don't do that. It really could kill you. And that's part of, especially like with food. I'm like, it's not going to kill me. I'm not
Right.
going to enjoy, if I don't enjoy it, okay. But now I've learned something.
Right. Yeah. And it's just
Quail
like
eggs on pizza is good, just so you know.
I'll let you enjoy that.
Maybe. Yes, I appreciate that. I will eat your piece.
Perfect. So speaking of food, it's like and being adventurous. So my partner and I we go foraging for mushrooms, right?
Yes.
Super fun. We've tried a bunch of different ones after we're very, very sure, and it's been identified by the mushroom group and all of that kind of thing. And the saying is, there are brave mushroom hunters and there are old mushroom hunters.
Oh, I like that.
Because some of them
I like
they're
it.
very common and they will shut down your kidneys. You're going to go into renal failure, your liver, seriously.
Oh,
Because in the
wow.
movies it's like, oh, you taste it and then you're dead, but in
Yeah,
reality you
it's
just
more
die of a
painful than that.
mysterious ailment. Yeah.
Right, right. Oh, I like that. Old mushroom hunters. Well, may you live to be an old mushroom hunter.
Yes, I 100%. I will happily not try any more weird things, um, if it means not compromising my organs.
Yes, yes, there we go. Usually our thing is if that's going to cause paperwork, don't touch that. Like if that's going to injure you or make you
Yeah.
sick or whatever it is, like no, 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 that's paperwork. I don't like paperwork.
I haven't been to the ER in years. I don't want to go.
It's a good place to stay away from. That's for
Yes.
damn sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
100%.
with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
You mentioned gardening also. Tell me about what is it about gardening? I like to be outside
Oh,
in the shade. But
well, yeah. I have a big floppy. I call it my high Helen hat. because it's the great big rimmed, like, hi, like it's just crazy.
I love it.
Um, I grew up in a small town where we had like an acre garden. And so, I mean, there was just tomatoes for miles and potatoes and like all the veggies. And even though I feel still like I'm traumatized, we would be woken up at 5:30, quarter to 6 in the morning by my father, who would be like, come on, let's go weed. I'm like, "Ugh,
Kill
I'm
me.
blessed, sweetheart." He would weed with us for a while, so he had to go to work. But that's how I learned how the heat of the day phrase,
Yeah.
like get it done before it gets too hot. But I have carried that with me, and there is a connection in the dirt. Like for those of you who speak this way, like I feel literally grounded because I can get
Mm-hmm.
out there with my toes, I can get out there with my fingers. I've been known to kill varmints in my garden with my bare hands because I don't like wearing gloves. I want to feel the soil. I want to feel the
You
dirt.
want to feel the dead animal.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't say vermin. Bugs, insects, grasshoppers,
Oh, okay,
like,
okay.
you know what I mean?
I was
Like, and
thinking
I'll
of
make
rodents.
terrible noises. Yeah, no, no, no. I'll make terrible noises and go wash my hands profusely, but I will kill them because I'm like, you can't be here. I don't mean to kill things, but you cannot be here. But I think that I have such an affection for tomatoes that I will not eat if they do not come out of someone's garden, like freshly out of the
Oh,
garden. I
interesting.
don't do hothouse tomatoes. So there's like this 3 month period ish of the year where I put tomatoes on everything. Like it's the best sauce in the world. So being able to go out, and it's a small garden, especially compared to what I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
It's small, but I have a grow, grow, grow song that I sing to my vegetables. It's one of those places where I can just be.
I love
And
it.
then, oh yeah, by the way, there's tomatoes and numminess at the end of it, you know?
Yeah, right.
So it's like, but it's all of it. It's just the whole, that is, my family knows if they cannot find me, that's probably where I am. Like, okay, she's out in the dirt. Because
That's
it's
great.
just, yeah, it brings me absolute joy. Like
And
there's
it's
just nothing about it
especially
I don't love.
it's interesting too because as a kid, that was just a loathed chore.
Right,
And
right.
yet, as an adult, you're just like singing a song while you're weeding your tomatoes, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting, and it's kind of one of those like, oh, you'll thank me later. But even now, I look back and go, those of us kids, like I'm one of 8 children, might be part of why I have one child.
I'm one of
Um,
9. I didn't have any.
see, there's some math going on here. But the older 3 or 4 kids who know those summer mornings where we were up before the crack of dawn, there's a connection between us. And we made up
Wow.
stories, we sang songs, I
Yep.
mean, we did, we lived and experienced those things in a way that my younger siblings did never get. And they had
Right.
their own way of doing things. But I think that's part of it too, is as much as yes, I would accidentally on purpose pull the entire green bean plant out when I was trying to pick the green bean. Because I'm like, oh, oopsie, a holding plant came out.
Oh.
Oh, so you only have 10,000 more, Dad. It's fine. Um, and I will only admit that because he will never hear this. So, um, but but it's one of those things. In fact, all of my siblings, those are the 4 of us, were like, oh yeah, there were a couple of we had some green beans down.
Right, right.
So yeah, even though it was really hard to be up that early, really, especially during summer vacation. Are you kidding?
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't trade it. And now that I get to have that, and I get to pass it on to my daughter, and I do not make her get up because it's a small enough garden. You do not have to get up at quarter to 6 in the morning. But
Amen.
it's one of those. I'm like, come sing this song with me. Come, let me talk to you about, let me
Well,
talk to
and
you about
she's gonna
Papa.
love
You
that.
know,
That's a memory where she's gonna be like, "Let me tell you about my goofy mom."
she was insane. She sang to the plants. She talked to the plants.
You know,
I hope
and
so.
but sharing yourself in that way with your kid is that's a gorgeous continuation. That's like when you talk
Yeah.
about intergenerational stuff, I'm always talking about intergenerational trauma and pain. And there's also lovely,
Oh,
lovely
absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely. There's good stuff. I think there are definitely, according to my therapist, multiple that I've seen, there are generational, what is it? You break the generational cycle
Yep.
of some of that trauma
Yep.
that has been going on. This is one of those, I'm like, no, there will be no breakage. We will garden. Smaller,
Right.
contained,
More manageably.
handleable.
Yes.
We don't have to feed 8 kids. We can just feed, us.
Right.
Um, so yeah, doing it my way. That's for dang sure. That
That's
always brings me joy.
gorgeous. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Amber. Thank you for coming on here, talking about joy. So I'm just trying to raise awareness for joy. If you want to fall in love with yourself, I'm going to be starting up a group. So check out my social media for that. That'll be coming later this week.
Yay. Thank you so much for letting me come play.
Absolutely. How can people get in touch with you, Amber?
Find me on LinkedIn as Your Brand by Design. Come play. Just come reach out and say, hey, I love tomatoes, or what's the deal with that? Or you're absolutely right. It's the best sauce in the world.
Yeah.
Come chat.
Yes, please. I want a tomato sandwich now.
Oh, that sounds good.
All right. Cheers, my lovey.